I think if you sent us back in time, see, it would be a lot easier in some aspects. I mean, it was still just overtuned, but we would be able to deal with the trash a lot easier. The bosses are still just fucking bad. The bosses were wild. Like, very, very, very hard. Alright, now to Darkheart Thicket. This dungeon, I think it's pretty... This one's pretty much... This is a pretty good dungeon. Well... I don't know. It continues our trend of... Most of the bosses will one-shot you. And in here, some of the trash would one-shot you, including these Frenzied Night Claws. These cats... Yeah, they just basically one-shot you. This is another dungeon where you just outrange everything. And if you got double cat leap, you die. And the answer to how to not get double cat leap is don't get double cat leapt. Like, there was no answer. Ooh, the snap. Oh, dude, I forgot. Fuck. Right, hold on, we gotta open out. Yeah. There was a spot that you could stand on for a while. I'll show you. Hunter Trap worked on Cat Leap? Yes. But you didn't play with a lot of hunters back then. I played with one, but there weren't a lot. I still got it. They did not fix the snap. And so then your tank would get every single one. I still got it. I still know where the snap spots are in this godforsaken fucking dungeon. You don't pull this. Well, you could pull this. You skip... By the end of the expansion, you would death run this guy. Or your healer would just invis potion, you'd sack yourself to him, and then you'd mass res. This shit... This wasn't too bad. This trash wasn't too bad, but that bear was a massive time loss, and he didn't give enough count to be worth doing. I'm not doing the same for BFA. And so then your Holy Paladin or your Resto Druid would mass res you here. And then you would do... You would never pull this. You would say, don't pull this. It always got pulled. But you would say, don't pull this. Because this wipes you and makes you have to zone out and restart the key. You want to do this pack by itself. But you want to do it like... Here. And this isn't a snap spot. Yeah, okay. So this is like a pull that people would very frequently die on. You can never pull that. And then you'd have to walk through here. Apparently I'm better than I was back then because I would always pull this fucking pack back then. So I just always started stealthing. This shit was never pulled. This pack was banned. This pack was really easy, and you always pulled these two spiders into these guys. And then you would pile on... through here. Or you would have a hunter like turtle feign these off. But you would like stealth by these because for some reason you don't have to kill these to activate the RP. It just activates whenever you walk up to the wall. And then the wall just like despawns. I don't know. I don't really know why. All right, so then we got this boss, which I mean. Okay, so he has basically, like, two mechanics. The first mechanic, he spawns ads. The ads, like, fixate people, but they're really not that bad. His second mechanic is a leap, whenever he goes into cat form. And he leaps on the furthest target and puts a really fucking nasty bleed on them that goes away after you get healed over 90% health. It was a physical damage initial hit. And so you basically needed a Moonkin for this dungeon to be able to, like, frenzy region back through it. Holy Paladins could also kind of deal with it, but it was really not that great. You really wanted a Moonkin to be baiting.
So it is you who have befouled these woods with a nightmare.
I should probably stop hitting him. Okay, so he goes into cat form first, right? And he's gonna do his leap on me. The initial hit of the leap was like the worst part. I accidentally pushed him too fast. Now he's got the bear form, which you reset the boss sometimes on accident because of that knock. God, that happened way too often. I didn't mean to kill him that fast, but okay. Yeah, he would spawn like these puddles and shit and spawn out from them. All right, so now we got the best part of the dungeon, which is this trash section where you got all these flowers that don't do anything and these dryads that also really don't do much. These keepers are kind of off limits, or rather, you only pull like one at a time. But they're really... This part of the dungeon was pretty fun. What made those flowers get big? It was the... So... Okay, so the Keeper, the reason that you didn't pull... I remember this now. The Keeper, the reason that you didn't pull multiple of them is because of the mushrooms. The Keeper would spawn the mushrooms. I don't remember what made... Maybe these flowers didn't get... Maybe that was just bolstering that I'm remembering that made the flowers big. The Dryads just throw spears and do diseases. Or do poisons. They heal the flowers? Passively? Maybe. I don't remember anymore. A fucking route? What am I doing? There's no boss here. Holy shit, this is like old MDT. There's no spells. Okay. I only got a heal orb, but I don't remember what it was. I'm pretty sure... I think it almost had to be the, I think it almost had to be the Keeper. Oh. Yeah, it had to be the Keeper. It had to be the Keeper because the Keepers were really not that great. That's... Okay, I remember. You would mass root this Keeper, or you would single root this Keeper. That's what it was. You had to single root the Keeper, pull all of the trash, and do the Keeper solo after the fact because he had a healing aura. That's what it was. The Dryads didn't do anything. It was just the Keepers. Yeah, okay. So the Keepers heal the nearby plants. I feel like I damage it, and it's just getting passively healed up. And at the time, it was like you couldn't even kill the plants if the Keepers were around them. The mobs weren't linked. These mobs weren't linked. That's right. For a while, you would actually skip by this. You would skip by this somehow, and you would pull these flowers because the Keepers... Oh my fucking god. I haven't thought about this in forever. Jesus. So the Keepers would patrol... I wish I had world markers. The Keepers would patrol from, like, basically, let's just say here to here. Like, they just, like... It's just, like, one of the small pats where they would go... And it's one of those ones that, like... These two plants are, like, in the ground right here. And one of the plants has to be... This plant has to be, like, out of the ground. The furthest patrol it can possibly be to this side. While at the same time, the Keeper is, like... One of the Keepers is, like, here. And so then you would just, like... pull these two plants, and you would I would sit there and just wait, and just wait for those fucking things to come up. You grab them, and then you pull them down into these. And at that pull, it was pretty easy. I mean, they didn't really fucking do anything. I had these Dwellers, which old Arcane Torrent made these Dwellers really, really easy because Arcane Torrent was silenced back then. So you would just like skystep and pull all of these Dwellers. These Dwellers did... They do a stun with their cast? They did something with their cast. I don't remember what it was. You would like Solar Beam the first. I think it's a Fear, maybe. Let's see what it is. I thought it was a Fear. I may have just resisted it. I'm like pretty sure it was like a Fear. We'll just say it was a Fear for learning purposes, because I'm like pretty sure it was, and I just resist them now. Yeah, okay. But you'd have to like, you would just go like Solar Beam, and then you go like Arcane Torrent, Arcane Torrent, Arcane Torrent, and you go Solar Beam. Now we have Darkheart, who, the most important thing to note about Darkheart is that, what is this? Ah, yes, your fear for 4 seconds. Ah, yes. The biggest thing about Darkheart to know is that you can outrange his stomp at 45 yards. And the stomp was basically a one shot. Belves were really bad in Legion. Belves were like mandatory. That was when Blood Elf silenced though. It was fucking. So this guy would spawn these like roots on you. And they would also do an AoE stomp that did a knockback, and that knockback did a freakish amount of damage. Legion MDI was not all Belf. There were Alliance teams then too. Depending on the dungeon. Everybody played Alliance for like this dungeon, and everybody played Alliance for Nelth's Lair. So, okay, you also got these strangling roots, right? Which root you and do, as their name suggests, they root you and they do a massive amount of damage if you stand in them. So you'd either have to have a druid like walk into them and shapeshift. Yeah, I guess I just can't be rooted at level 60 or whatever. You'd have to have a druid walk into them and shapeshift, or you'd have to have like a paladin freedom and run through them. But if you left them up, they would spawn these little ads, these saplings. And this boss already did the most amount of damage to your tank, because that crushing grip would just beat up your fucking tank. I think that Night Elf was actually better during the MDI. I think that everybody just played Horde. There were some dungeons that Belf was probably better in though. This is basically slimes into one fury. Oh my fucking god, PTSD. Oh, my melee has walked into the whelps. Where did all of these dragons come from? Why are there 100 dragons here? I'll never know. But yeah, you had to kill these furies. And then whenever the furies spawned, you would walk away from them as fast as possible. And if you got outside of like 30 yards away from them, they wouldn't cast their blood metamorphosis. I'll show you. One second. I forgot about that. I'll show you guys on the next one. So you would always skip those because you got all of the count from the big dude dying and not the little dudes dying. They did cast, they just didn't spawn in combat with you? Oh, maybe that's what it was. Yeah, so look at that. I'm not in combat now with them. Look at them. Let's see. Consumption Leech. Wow. What was the Consumption Leech trait? Vampiric Aura. Consumption Grant. Here we go. Alright. This is this. Okay. This is our friend Dracerion. And Dracerion has all of these whelps that are around it, right? That you can spawn. And Dracerion has an ability that's like a Gust of Wind ability, but every single pulse of the Gust of Wind does a pretty sizable amount of health or amount of damage to you. Let's say 40% of your health at the time or some shit, right? This is also spell queuing the boss, but this is not super relevant. And so every single time this winds would come out, he would also do a roar after the winds and hit you for 80% of your HP immediately following the winds. And so you need to be topped. But the winds would hit you for like 30% of your health per tick, and it was like 8 ticks or something like that. So you would rotate Vamp Aura for every other one. and it just allowed, and your DK tank would run through all of these whelps, and you would just AoE as hard as you possibly could because you're just topping yourself. Global over global. It's just every single global you put into these whelps, you're just topping yourself to full. You're just topping yourself to full. And you wouldn't have to use any defensives for the first Vampora. And for the second one, you would get like an Aura Mastery or a Trank or something like that, and it would be fine. And then you would go Vampora again, and then it would be like all personals. And then it would be Vampora again, and then it would be some other shit. I don't know. Fucking Aura Master again. Yeah, and this is the best. I mean, this is the best dungeon in the game for Sub Rogue. Like, if you thought that Zool was OP for Sub Rogue, you should have seen Darkheart Thicket. Because my fucking god, that last boss that we just were on, Oakhart, if you just let him summon all of those little shitter ads, and you also had all these little whelplings on this boss, that put Zool to fucking shame. You always needed Fridas for this fight. Alright, so we're vibing, and he would cast either Roar or Winds first based on how many times he melees your tank. Oh, yeah, fucking Breath. Oh, my melee got hit by Breath. He's dead. So sad. Alright, so now we got the Winds, right? And it's a long Winds. Oh my god, I forgot how hard this push is. This push is so fucking hard. For a while, you tanked this boss, like, in the corner. Oh my god, I can still get up here. I didn't know you could get up here anymore. For a long time, you tanked him up here. But then you stopped doing it. This fight fucking sucked, though. Very, very hard boss. And it would one-shot you over and over again. It was, like, really frustrating. Basically, until people started doing that consumption leech bullshit that I was talking about, this fight was, like, really not fun. Would the Earthquake ever go on the tank up there? Your whole entire group was stacked up there. And you would just move as a group. Alright, so this part of the dungeon is the hardest trash. Actually, all the trash in this dungeon is really beans. These mobs... I've wiped so many fucking times this pack of trash. I don't actually know what these mobs do. I know there's a lot of casters, but I don't really know what they do. I just know that you don't like you never really liked playing them, and they always fucking wiped you for some dumbass reason. And you would skip the rest of this. You'd skip the rest of the log. The remainder of the log was unpullable. These bats were off limits. This pack at the end of this fucking ledge, this stalker, is the baddest motherfucker in any dungeon. He would, like, shadow step you and you would just die. So you would just failure detection, pylon, death run all the way through here. Checkpoints in this dungeon were bad. Yeah. Checkpoint here. I'm pretty sure the checkpoint... It may have been in the first boss room. Let's go look. I think the checkpoint for this part of the dungeon is actually in the first boss room. I don't think it's at Oakhart. Or maybe it is. Maybe it is at Oakhart. I don't know if these mobs can kill me. Yeah, so it looks like I can't die. Hold on. Oh my fucking god. Every mob snapped. Ah, yes, in classic Legion fashion, every fucking mob snaps. I hit the wrong pebble and the mob snapped to me. Alright, whatever. I'm pretty sure the checkpoint was at the first boss, although there may be one at Oakhart, I don't really remember. Jaded Xavius, fucking awful boss. Actually just dog shit fight. RNG one-shots. Again, they were outrangeable, though. Mr. THD Lock was in the chat earlier. He knows all about the fucking dodging of the one-shots in this fight. Range had to outrange the boss abilities. Yes, it was awful. So there was a suck. And the suck was pretty bad. The growing paranoia is fine. It actually didn't matter. What is this?
Next gold I get.
I have nothing.
Okay, so
have
the
a
boss is
huge
sub
pride
30%
attitude.
or sub 50%
I had
health.
the
So they already
commander
have like the
pride
big
attitude.
ass
I have
thing
nothing
going on him.
right now.
Alright, so THD has growing paranoia on him.
External
That's
wise.
the fear circle.
I can pop
Can you
boinks.
pick me with both?
Okay, so-
yeah, here we go, dude.
Okay, Cryptus gets Nightmare Bolt on him.
External.
What did he
I
get?
have nothing right now.
Was somebody getting sucked? Or was that THD
External
drain
wise,
lifing?
I can pop
Pick me
boinks.
with
That's THD drain lifing. Okay, so Cryptix has Nightmare Bolt on him, which this is a one shot, right?
both? Yeah, here we go.
If you don't have like a massive DR.
That was not big enough.
Can you pick me for Bolt? Dies.
So now he's got feet on the weak.
Nice knowing you
This is the suck. And this suck does
guys.
80% of his HP per tick.
He doesn't have anything.
He gets battle
Fish
rest
cars
again.
just came up.
And then he gets Nightmare Bolt on him another time.
Petals,
and
is
he
that
just
you?
dies. Yes, that's the curse of this fight. You want to know something else that's cursed about this boss? You push him to 50% health, and he does a fucking massive AoE. The AoE can be outranged. Hold on, let me show you where you have to put the boss, though. You have to put the boss in this corner. His AoE can be outranged at 100 yards, which is the boss in this corner, and you running here. And so you are literally on a fucking marathon while this boss is pushing to not get hit by that AoE. And if you get hit by it, you basically died.
Cannot defeat a god.
Wow, Fire Relic, so cool.
Well-earned victory. We must, however,
All right.
stay vigilant. Deep inside
A high mountain.
Xavius
We have NL.
remains unvanquished. The enemy you fought here was merely his shadow.
This is a good song. Good morning, Meme Saya. The dungeon was like pretty fun to play. I had a lot of fun doing it during MDI. I don't fucking like getting one shot by Shade of Xavius. Shade of Xavius was actually awful. The last, okay, if the dungeon ended at Dracerion, I think I would have been more okay with that dungeon. But that log at the end was fucking brutal. I had so many wipes in that log where you just completely lost your run. And then Shade of Xavius was just a terrible boss because like that clip that THD linked, it's just everybody had experiences like that on that boss where it's just like, I'm out of defensives, man. I'm just gonna die.